On this episode of the Reynolds Team podcast, I'm joined by real estate agent Maddie Partow to discuss being a young professional in Vero Beach real estate. So Maddie, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So I want to start off, as I do every show, by getting to know a little bit about you and what your background in real estate in the Vero Beach area is.
Okay, so I'm pretty much a local. I grew up here, went to Vero Beach High School. I did go away for college, but when I came home, when I finished with school and I was figuring out what to do with my life, as many of us do around that age, I came home, figured, okay, let me spend some time with my parents, but I really want to go travel. And of course, perfect timing, I came home, was home for about a few months when coronavirus swept across the world and I wasn't able to go anywhere. So at that point, I had saved up some money for traveling, but I had to consider, okay, what do I want to do with my career now that I can't really go travel? So I was figuring out what to do next. I was working in freelance marketing, just working on the side for a few different people, but I was like, this isn't really a career. I have to do something. And at that point in time, I was really considering just everything about the economy in America and what it meant to be a young person in the United States and what it meant to build a career and build wealth for myself long term, for my future and my future family. And I had heard from a lot of people that, they would be like, you'd be great at real estate. You'd be great at real estate. So I was talking to a few people and I really liked the idea of sales. I love networking. I love meeting people. So I knew that was something I was interested in. But it really took, so now that I had all these savings and I couldn't travel, I figured, okay, why not go ahead and just get started with real estate, go ahead and take the course and take the test. And it was finally clicking that in America, the best thing to do is own your own business and own income producing assets. So I was like, real estate investing is what I want to do, but how am I going to get the money to do that? Well, learn about real estate and sell real estate so I can get to know the market, learn from other investors, and really understand what it means to be a real estate investor as well as be a salesperson and understand the whole real estate market. So that's when I decided to go ahead, get my real estate license and take it seriously as a full-time career. And so that was about just over a year ago, in the summer of 2020, when couldn't do anything, couldn't travel anywhere, but I could get my real estate license.
Wow, well, that's definitely a very mature way of approaching it in terms of looking at the longevity of it and how it affects the economy as well. I think I was pretty shocked to learn the statistics that I think like everything revolving around real estate as a whole makes up like a third of the total GDP in the United States, which is crazy to think about. But I guess when you're so much involved in the market and you see on a day-to-day basis just how much money is involved with lending, with selling homes, with inspecting homes, appraising them, you really do kind of see where there's a huge money trail that's involved, and keeping all of that together, especially in the roles of real estate agent, is very important.
Yes, that's what I love about this job is I get to learn from all of those different aspects, meet lenders, meet inspectors, meet constructors, meet the handyman in town. It's such a great way to meet people who have everything to do with the home process. I mean, to me, living in a house is such an important part of my life and pretty much everybody's life. I can't, think of anybody where you live isn't important to them, and finding that place that feels comfortable, safe, and affordable to you is so important to me. So I see how that's important to everybody and how much then that impacts our entire economy.
Absolutely. And I think that there's definitely a very unique perspective at looking at this as someone who falls under the term that's used nowadays as like being a young professional in real estate. And especially having grown up here, I'm sure there were different moments where you're kind of looking around like the Vero Beach area, the Fort Pierce area, and I remember coming to the realization of, young people are a bit rare here. It's a very big retirement community, very focused on kind of that stage in life. So how would you describe the experience of being a young person in Vero Beach?
So definitely growing up here, there are a fair amount of my fellow kind of teenagers that would rag on it and be like, oh, there's nothing to do around here. And, I was always someone who defended it and was like, oh, I like living here. It's nice. But I definitely had some moments where I was like, oh, I cannot wait to get out of here. I'm going to a big city. And I did. I went to Washington, D.C. for my degree. So I went to a big city. And I had those moments where I was like, this is boring. There's nothing to do here. But I also, there were so many moments where I was like, what do I do on the weekend? Go to the beach with my friends. We can go surfing. We can go tubing. There's so many fun things to do that are outdoor activities where so many places in the country you can't do. For example, I really spent my early childhood in the suburbs of Atlanta, and just spending my early childhood there, we'd always come down here for the summers, and I always was so excited to come down here for the summers because I could go to the beach, go to the pool, hang out outside in big, natural, beautiful places, where in somewhere like the suburbs, which is unfortunately so much of America, it's just that classic just strip mall, and that's, what do? You just go to the mall. That's the only activity. So luckily I love being outside, and I love natural kind of outdoor activities. So being a young person, I was able to really enjoy that part of life, where maybe there wasn't as much partying. I got to go off to school and see the city life, see the museums and the nightlife and everything like that. But I came to really have this deep appreciation for living in a small, quiet, sleepy beach town.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very accurate way of putting it, and I think it's especially interesting that you bring up the idea of kind of how, especially in a lot of the Southeast, like I lived in North Carolina for a little bit, it does seem like there can be, not necessarily like exactly the same, but kind of like what you're saying, like cookie cutter type communities, whereas Vero Beach is very unique in that when you think of South Florida or living on the coast of Florida, you think of high-rise condos everywhere, bustling traffic, but the unique thing about Vero Beach is that they have kept it so well run to where a lot of the original features and the niceness of Vero Beach as sort of a small town local community, despite it growing, has actually preserved a lot of that same quality over the years.
Yeah, definitely. I love our beach downtown on Ocean Drive and also 14th Avenue, our little downtown over there. It's been so nicely preserved and so cute, and we have that same feeling of a small town, which you just don't get in other parts of the U.S. And also, I really feel like there is a lot to do around here. As much as, people say, oh, it's quiet, you go to the beach. And also we have a lot of cultural activity. It's really surprised me living back here now for a while. Almost at least every month, if not every weekend, there's some sort of festival event, either at the fairgrounds or at Riverside Park, our Friday night downtown festival. There's always some cool kind of cultural activity where you would think, oh, there's not a lot of, cultural events around here, but there really are. If you look for it and there's signs out on the road, I'm always like being shocked, like, oh wow, like the Pirate Festival that was the other weekend. Yeah. That was pretty crazy. I was like, oh, that's super interesting. And then there's like an arts festival. So there's always unique events kind of popping up that you wouldn't expect. And then it does get really busy, and it is like a whole day's worth of activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's definitely a lot of things that you just said that really help sell Vero Beach when people are looking for their real estate needs at really any given point in their life.
Yeah.
And so when people are starting to go through that process, there are a number of different factors they look at as far as picking an agent. Some of it goes pretty haphazardly, others are pretty involved with it, looking at your profile, your headshot. Did you grow up there? Did you not grow up there? So being a younger agent, what would you say are some of your greatest strengths in terms of guiding older clients and maybe even like newer families through real estate transactions in Vero Beach?
Yeah, so definitely we do see a lot of older clients that are coming from up north who have no familiarity with this area, or maybe they had in passing and heard about it from a friend, which is usually the situation. And since I did grow up here and have spent so much time just on the beaches and in the parks and with my friends in the different neighborhoods, I really have a good idea and understanding of this market and kind of what is the feeling and the vibe in the different neighborhoods across town. And then going back to that, my connections as well in the local community have grown really big. I'm like, oh, you need a pool guy, got it. You need a gardener, I got it. So I know about kind of those people and who does the best work in the area. But also just kind of being young, I've got that energy and the willingness to show up and work hard for you. I am building my career, so I want to put in that effort to build that really solid portfolio of clients and past work and testimonials. So I'm willing to show up every day and do that hard work for someone, where maybe someone who's, someone who had a career before, or they already have another career and they're just doing it part-time, are not showing up to the office every single day like I am and putting in that hard work and commitment to, because this is my career and this is the future that I'm building for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an interesting point that a lot of agents bring up, because the more and more that I've seen how the agents operate in terms of making connections and networking, it sounds bad to say, but it's almost kind of like you're like the mayor of your town. It's like you're the person that's out there, that guy, this girl who can do this and that and everything else. And so definitely being young enough to have that energy to build that network is very important.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a goal of mine to always be building that and to get to know my community better and better each and every day, because I have made a home here and I want to be an active member of this community and be of service to people and know people. And I have found that despite how small Vero Beach seems, I do meet someone new all the time. And it's really cool to always kind of be branching out my my network more and more and building that group, and then being able to go to, out to lunch and be like, oh, hey, I know that person, or, oh, that I'm at the grocery store and I get to like chat with a friend. I think that's such an awesome part of this community, is I feel that support from everybody. And we all have that. I mean, not everybody, I guess, but most people here do have that strong sense of community and do want to be there for their neighbor, which I really love about this town.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely very well connected. And one of the things that's really stuck out to me is in going to inspections, showings, really kind of getting a feel for the network of real estate in Vero Beach. There really are a lot of younger people that work in all sorts of different roles, whether that's as sales managers, top producing agents, heads of inspection companies, and really all the different areas and sub areas of real estate. There are a lot of young people involved in the process. So in your opinion, what are some of the key skills that young people, specifically in Vero Beach, bring to the real estate process?
So I'm super happy to see that as well. It's been really interesting for me with my graduating class in college, because that was the year that COVID hit and everyone was kind of stuck figuring out what to do. And a lot of people that I know did come back and live here, which has been great to see them here again. And I'm like, oh, hey, we graduated together. And what I'm really seeing and what's awesome is this really awesome kind of technological transformation in Vero, where I see the young people on social media. They're out there utilizing social media in a way that I wasn't aware of before, but it is definitely new to me, seeing all of these events on Facebook and Instagram. Lenders that I know who are my age are posting about it online, and that is involving the other young people in the real estate market as well, because they're seeing it on social media. They know what's going on. They are involved in the market. So really, it's really cool to see how we're using technology and social media in this way, even like on TikTok and posting on TikToks, which is really cool. But also just in general, the young professionals here really bring a great energy of, this is a place that you can start a career and start a family. And there is opportunity for you here. So it's great to see other people there. And also I think it will bring in new people to our area who see that happening as well, especially because we're posting about it on social media and getting the word out there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's a great point, talking about the social media presence that young people actually bring to Vero Beach.
Yes.
And kind of that unique perspective of really trying to bring the city into that kind of a media highlight. I mean, because it's still weird to me to walk into Panera or a coffee shop or the grocery store and I'll still see people reading like the physical print application, like different issues, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like people still get like newspapers thrown to their door, like the classic newspaper delivery biker in the morning. But I think that's definitely a great strength, a great point you bring up, and how young people, with us being so tech savvy, we kind of like to just dive right in and also bring in a lot of the older and middle-aged communities around us into that sphere to benefit it in real estate.
Yeah, I know for sure the social media accounts of all the inspector companies, lenders, all of those awesome contractors that you mentioned, they're being run by people probably under 30.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. And there are also several different real estate firms in the area, and there really are a lot of different big names out there that are very involved in the Vero Beach market and know it very well. So just out of curiosity, as having been an agent for a year and having grown up seeing and driving by a lot of the other big name firms in Vero Beach, what specifically drew you to the Reynolds Team?
So I realized once I got my license, I realized there was a lot more to choosing a brokerage than just, oh, this name sounds good and I like the color of their logo. So I really took a lot of things into consideration. I was considering brand name, and the Reynolds Team has a great market presence. People know the name. They know Reynolds. They know the kind of service that they provide. So I'm always kind of doing a little survey to my friends and family, like, oh, what have you heard about this? Do they have a good reputation in your mind? But I also had to consider all the other factors. What do you get? What is the office like? What is the split? What are you getting for that split? And once I really laid it all out in terms of the resources that are provided, the Reynolds Team just blew it out of the park compared to the other offices. Just everything that we get here, that it's support, which really gives that cohesive brand image to my clients, because I wanted it to feel like I'm a part of something bigger, but also, hey, I have my own brand. I'm doing my own marketing. But we've got this team that is going to give you those super pro photos and videos. We're going to be at your service 24/7, basically. My clients are going to feel like they are getting the support of a big office that has that local knowledge at the same time. So we are a team that has this great support, great admin staff like yourself, but we also have these agents and our team leader who has this awesome local market knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you bring up, and looking at how in real estate, what you're essentially selling is not just the products you have, but yourself. And I kind of love how you point it there. It's one thing to exclusively focus on your individual brand, but having a team to back you and to collaborate with is a huge part of learning the business, establishing yourself, and really kind of getting that collaborative sense to bounce ideas off of different agents and really kind of grow everyone's individual businesses all at once under that team structure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so nice. I'd like to say I know everything about real estate, but obviously I do not. So having people, though, who really do know a lot about real estate that are either in the same office as me or quickly available by phone call, it makes me feel so good knowing that if my clients have a question that for some reason I can't answer, I can quickly get an answer from someone on my team who has so much knowledge, so much experience. That makes me so happy. It's an awesome team environment where I do feel, I feel like I am coming up with a new idea every day because someone is talking about it, something, and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I want to try that. Or maybe I should change that up and do that this way instead. So.
Oh, maybe I should go on that podcast.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I definitely agree with all of that. It's nice to have all those resources. And I think that one of the interesting things about where you are in your career right now is that you have that perspective of someone who has jumped into it, taken the leap, is kind of seeing how the business works, and you're trying to find all the different pieces to lay that foundation while providing, a higher level of customer service and a higher knowledge of all the technology and the advanced marketing that goes in today's marketplace. So when you're talking to, say, friends or colleagues who are on the fence about real estate or maybe want to start their own business venture similar in sales, what's the advice that you usually give to them?
So I think everybody has way more experience than they initially give themselves credit for, because just being alive, you're conversing with people, going out, making decisions, and problem solving. So I like to ask people, like, what are you doing in your day-to-day life, or you have done in previous job or school experience that is related to real estate? Like, my degree was in international affairs with a minor in sustainability, which at first glance kind of has nothing to do with real estate. But when I examined it a little bit more, I'm like, okay, I was learning about diplomatic relations. That's negotiation. I was learning about how to work with the environment. The house has to work with the environment. You have to understand the flooding. You have to understand the risk of storms and, here sinkholes or whatever it is, environmental issues that we have going on. You have to know about how to take care of your yard. So thinking about what you've done in the past, because just being alive, it requires problem solving and communication, which is basically the two biggest facets of real estate, in my opinion, as well as meeting new people, networking. So real estate's one of those things where you learn so much on the job and working with your team members that you can kind of come into it with a giant background of whatever different things you were doing before and still make it applicable to this career, as long as you're willing to learn and show up. I would say that is the biggest thing. If you're totally closed-minded and you do not want to learn anything new, then real estate is not for you, because this is a career where you do learn something new every day. But if you like learning, if you like meeting new people, and you like putting your head to a challenge, this is a great career for anyone, even if it seems maybe you came from a totally different background.
I think that's definitely great advice, and I could definitely love how you bring up the point of that it doesn't really matter what you did in the past and really what age or what background you have, and that real estate really is a career that anyone can jump into and start to immediately learn so much about on the job.
Yeah.
Now, the final point I want to get to is one of the biggest young people in general struggles in Vero Beach. One of the biggest things they complain about. I don't know where to go to make friends. What's the place I go to find young people? Like, what do young professionals do here? What are some of the things that you found where you just kind of find cliques of young people where they're kind of, I guess, hidden away in Vero Beach?
So I would definitely say, first and foremost, put yourself out there on social media. So it's kind of silly, but either dating apps or put in your bio, I want to make friends. It really works. And then getting on social media, going on other pages that other young people might be following. So the bars, going on the bar's social media page, looking at who's following that and going and looking at that. Going out by yourself, it's a little bit, some people are nervous about it, but it's okay to go get lunch by yourself and introduce yourself to someone new. Taking any sort of recreational activity, like a lesson, like doing a surf lesson, or joining a volleyball group or a kickball group. There's a ton of kind of like adult sports leagues around here too. Going to the festivals and fairs that we have, even if you have to go by yourself, just going there and talking to the people at the booths. There'll be someone young working at the booth there. And let's see what else. I would say and the Facebook groups as well. There are actually a ton of really cool Facebook groups for different interests. There's even like a young adults of Vero Beach Facebook group. So social media can be great, but just really going outside, going to the beach by yourself, even, for example, and just seeing, okay, is there anyone here who looks friendly who I can go up to? But all of that has been pretty successful for me, and I find that I still meet new friends all the time here in Vero. When I thought I knew everybody that was my age, it's not true at all. I'll be like, oh, I've never met this person. We have a bunch of, mutual followers on Instagram, but we've never talked before. That's another thing. If you have at least one friend, there are people that they are friends with. So you can go, and it's a little bit of a funny way to do it, but go on their Instagram, look at who they're following. Go and see, do they live in Vero Beach? Can I give them a follow? I do that all the time, and then I'll slide into their DMs and just be like, it looks like you live in Vero and you also like the beach. Let's, tell me about that, or whatever it is that you may find that one connection, or looks like you like the beach and you're also friends with my friend Katie. Let's all hang out together sometime. Which all these tactics work for anywhere you are. in the world, but we think Vero Beach is too small to extend your network, but there's always a way to do it.
It's funny you mentioned dating apps because my mind immediately went to what if there was like a dating app where you could swipe left or right on an agent you wanted or didn't want.
Right. Oh my God, that's a great idea.
Compass, I'm telling you.
Yeah, right? That's a great idea.
Brand.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, that's genius. I had never even thought about that before.
Yeah, we got to get to it before Zillow gets to it.
Right? So. Oh, I gotta beat them. Don't let Zillow hear this.
Well, Maddie, this has been a very great episode, and I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you so much, Trevor. It's been so much fun. I love it.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for more episodes of the Reynolds Team podcast.